Hello everybody, welcome back to Go and Umbral. So last time we did a little bit of an update on all the Umbral builds, but today we are looking at a new build, the original Umbra, the Big Daddy, Mr. Poster Boy. We are looking at Excalibur Umbra. Yes, this was overdue, but he is here. He is how I want him to perform, and my god, can he kick some derriere. Plus look at those colours, absolutely superb. So first of all, let's jump into the powers. Excalibur Umbra is a variation of the normal Excalibur Warframe, with the main power difference of Radial Howl. Now, the normal Excaliburs have Radial Blind, Umbra has a Radial Howl. But I'll get into that once we get to there. First power is Slash Dash. Dash between targets while slashing with an Exalted Blade. Basically, this is your gap closer. If there's an enemy a bit of a distance away and you can't get to them and they're going to start shooting, you use Slash Dash and you can close the gap. Close the gap. Close the gap. Close the gap. Dab, people. You can close the gap quite fast. And Slash Dash can't speak today. Slash Dash can be chained between targets. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. This does not bode well. Second power, and one exclusive to Excalibur Umbra, is Radial Howl. Let out a ferocious howl that stuns nearby enemies and causes sentience to shed any built-up resistances. This is what makes Umbra the Sentient Slayer. Basically, if you're shooting at a target with an opticore and they get immune to every damage on the opticore, which is very rare but it can happen, you just pop Radial Howl and boom, all their resistances are stripped. It is the most handy power for going up against sentience, because prior to Umbra coming out, the only way we had to strip sentient defenses was our operators. And when I first started Warframe, we didn't have the amps as of yet, so we had the void beams that you just popped out your operator and your operator was just using a void beam from their chest. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. But now we have more reliant ways to strip their resistances. Shadow Stalker is no longer a threat these days, thanks to Umbra and the amps. Radial Javelin launches javelins towards enemies, dealing high damage and impaling them to walls. I haven't actually had targets impaled to walls. I've had them suspended, much like Nejar's blazing spears, but never have I actually had enemies nailed to walls. And finally, we have one of the main powers that Excalibur's mainly built for, Exalted Blade. Summon a sword of pure light and immense power. Now, as you can see here, Exalted Blade can blind. How do you blind? Well, you actually have to do a slide attack. When you do a slide attack while holding the Exalted Blade, it will let out a radial blind effect that will blind any target within that 5 meter radius, which is a pretty handy form of crowd control if you use the Exalted Blade. But the passive. Umbra exhibits sentience in combat without transference control. Basically what it means is when you pop into operator, when you go into operator mode, Umbra will act like a spectre, in which he'll go off and farm fight targets himself. He'll use powers, he'll use whatever weapons you give him. If you want to build Umbra for spectre form, which by the way I would not recommend, I would give him AoE weapons, much like the Ignis or the Anthrax, something that can hit multiple targets, because when the spectres try to aim, yeah, they're not very good at it. He also has another passive, attacks faster and deals more damage while wielding swords. Now the passive says swords, but the attack speed and the damage can actually spread to dual swords, single swords, and incarnas. So as you see, I paired him up with the Skiajati because it works so well with him. Essentially, we're going to get a 10% damage boost on the Skiajati, as well as I think it's 20% attack speed boost. I could be wrong about that. It's either 10 or 20% attack speed boost, which makes the Skiajati an even faster weapon to kill with. But getting into the mod setup, for the aura we have growing power. Why growing power? Because the Skiajati is a status based katana and it can reliably proc growing power. I did consider going for corrosive projection just for the extra reduction to armor, but once I was doing my research on Umbra and I found out how to actually mod his Exalted Blade, I didn't need armor stripping. It was doing so much damage that honestly it shredded any target it came across. Constitution for the faster knockdown recovery and ability duration. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Against high level gameplay, especially if you have a squishier frame, like a Banshee or something, being knocked down and not being able to get up straight away is gonna get you killed in some scenarios. Especially if there's Corpus Tech, Heavy Gunner, or just something that can mow you down in a blink of an eye. Having the ability to get up from knockdown faster is just a big plus. Plus, the extra ability duration, always helpful. The augment we are using for Umbra is Chromatic Blade. Exalted Blade augment. Exalted Blade's damage type changes depending on Excalibur Umbra's energy color, and status chance is increased by 50%. So, essentially what this does is it gets rid of your IPS. For those who don't know, that's impact, puncture, and slash. It gets rid of those, and depending on the element, the color of your energy color, so if you're using green, your Exalted Blade will do toxin. If it's blue, it'll do lightning. If it's white, it'll do cold. Red, it'll do fire, etc, etc. It basically turns Exalted Blade from a crit slash weapon into a status hybrid weapon. And trust me, it is nuts. So we have fleeting expertise for the ability efficiency, just so we can get a bit spam happy with our powers if the need arises. Cunning drift for the extra range and the extra parkour maneuverability. Prime continuity along with constitution to offset the negative duration from fleeting expertise. Hunter's adrenaline, converting 45% of the damage we take to health as energy. This helps with our survivability a little bit and keeps us topped up to on energy. Umbral Intensify, Umbral Fiber, and Umbral Vitality. Excalibur Umbra, being the only Umbral frame in the roster so far. He comes innate with the Umbral polarity. Now, as of a week ago, we actually got Nightwave on console. I have yet to actually get into that. I have done a couple of bounties for Nightwave, but the reward for that is for Umbral Forma, which means you can now put the Umbral polarity on any warframe or weapon, which for people like me doing Umbral builds for warframe is a huge plus. However, unfortunately, you only get one from the Nightwave event, and I'm pretty sure you cannot buy it on the market. So we have Umbral Intensify for the extra ability strength, Umbral Fiber for the extra armor, and Umbral Vitality for the extra health. Plus, we get 15%, nearly 16% tower resistance. What is tower resistance? Tower resistance is basically the resistance against sentience. And as you can see, all these mods together make up a very tanky warframe. We have 720 armor, 225 energy, which honestly, thanks to Hunter's Adrenaline, as long as we're taking damage, that's going to stay topped up like a lot. 930 health, 300 shields, excuse me, and of course we have the efficiency that we can spam our powers if need be, and of course we have Arcane Grace. Now I have tried to build without Arcane Grace, excuse me for one second. Excuse me, sorry. Now I do have Arcane Grace on here. I have tried to build without Arcane Grace, and it does remain survivable. But I just put Arcane Grace in because, you know, I have it, I may as well use it. Sorry, excuse me. The ski agility I have showed off in Biggs' Arsenal. The build has not changed. Now, for the creme de la creme, Exalted Umbral Blade. Now, thanks to the Umbral Blade, we can keep our health topped up. We have a 100% status chance. We are using Guess. Now, I actually looked up. I watched a video from Distant Observer. He was showing how to mod Excalibur Umbra's Exalted Blade, and he did a DPS test. Cold and... what was it? Corrosive and Cold came second, but Gas came top of the DPS charts. And trust me, when I actually tried this in the simulacrum against level 120s, I absolutely melted them. I melted them so fast. In fact, I had to do double take just to make sure I weren't seeing stuff. As you see, we have Lab Strike, Virulent Scourge, Berserker. Because we have the 28% crit chance, while it may not seem like a lot, it does crit very regularly. Which means Berserker is up a reliant amount of times. Condition Overload, for every status affecting the target, we get 60% increased melee damage. What's not to love? Sacrificial Pressure for extra damage. Sacrificial Steel for more critical chance. Plus, we get the damage to sentience as well. But, as per normal, I can talk and talk all day. But let's go into Sanctuary Onslaught and see exactly how Umbra can perform. Right, excuse me for 1 second. So when Umbra first came out, that came with Sacrifice. I loved the quest. Like, it's by far one of my favourite quests in Warframe. To date. Because it gave us a bit more insight on Lotus, it gave us a bit more insight on the operators, and the Warframes in general. Honestly, I enjoyed that quest so much. And finding out Umbra was actually a Orokin Dex, and that ballast turned him into a Warframe. I thought it was a nice touch. Because obviously it's showing his origins. Sorry, trying to think today. My mind's just not with me today. Right, let's go for Exalted Blade. As you can see, it can be a bit slow to begin with, but once you crit, Berserker will proc, which does increase your DPS quite substantially. Come here. I must slash you. Also, a little tip for you, when you're channeling Life Strike with Exalted Blade, only hold it a little bit. As soon as you see that wave pass through a single target, let go of the button. Because if you hold it while it's passing through like 5 enemies, you're going to drain a lot of energy. Let's go for a Radial Javelin. See, I never actually got a target to actually be impaled on walls. Now I know this is kind of like a cliched setup for Excaliburs in general, but you can't deny that it is by far the most effective. I mean, there are different augments for the Excaliburs, but let's face it, Chromatic Blade, at least from my opinion, just tops them all. It beats them all. I did consider doing the slash dash augment, but I don't know, I just wasn't sold on it completely. As you can see, slash dash can be used to close the gap. And as long as you press the button, you can chain it between different targets, as long as you're aiming at them. You have to actually be aiming at a target, otherwise you're just gonna dash into nothingness. Now, as I showed off in the Fix's Arsenal for the Skirjati, if you use Radial Howl and get a finisher with the Skirjati, Umbra will turn invisible. However, it is for a few seconds. And to my knowledge, that buff cannot be refreshed. Come here, I'm going to slash you. Also, so apologies if you could hear me sniffing. I had a really bad cold last week. I'm not 100%, but I'm well enough to start bringing these back out for you. But if you can hear sniffing on any of the episodes I brought you today, do know that it's not my intention. I'm just getting over a bad cold. Radial Javelin.
Data conduit is open. Go now.
Well, zone 3 already. As you can see, you get a finisher, you turn invisible. And I'm pretty... No, I don't know that buff got refreshed. No, I didn't. Radial Javelin. Radial Howl also makes for a good oh my button. Basically, when there's a bunch of enemies threatening to mow you down, pop a Radial Howl, get out of there, and you'll be fine. Die, corrupted enemies, die. As you can see, consistent one-shots. You, in my health back.
Efficiency is crucial to this experiment's design. Work faster.
There we go. Honestly, if you're trying a steamroll mission, then this kind of setup will do you good. And yes, you can take it into survival and do well. However, 60 minutes in and you're still using Exalted Blade, I tend to get a bit bored. Not that I stay 60 minutes in the survival to begin with. Honestly, the only time you'll ever catch me longer than, say, 30 minutes in the survival is if I have to do a challenge for a Riven, or it's part of the night wait, which ironically it is this week.
A new data conduit is open. Our experiment moves to a new zone. Specimens must experience unmatched stress. Increase your effort.
Oh, shut up, Samaris. Yeah, I was wondering why I wasn't getting any combat buffs. I have Helios Prime equipped. That's kind of oversight on my part. That's why I had Snaggle put on me. I was wondering why I wasn't getting a quick chance and everything. But now we know. That's it, Umbra. Slash him good. Oh, there you are. Excuse me. We're going to run out of efficiency. As you can see, Umbra can keep himself alive. Make sure you use an unranked left strike on the Exalted Blade, because if you use a maxed out left strike, you're going to be draining more energy than you need to actually heal up. Plus it's a bit more forgiving that if you do hold the Javelin button for longer than need be, and you do hit multiple targets, your whole energy bar isn't drained in the process.
You generated some
B+.
usable data, but
Not bad.
I need more. Return
As you see,
when you are ready to subject these
Umbra can
data
perform
immortals to
with just a melee weapon, but if you had a gun, obviously you're going to be doing a lot more damage. And of course, that was solo. And where I was trying to break down the key points, I weren't really paying much of attention, and we still did pretty well. Right. First of all, let's change that. There we go, we have Snugglepuss. But that is Excalibur Umbra. Honestly, I'd like to see more Umbras in the future. Maybe if we even had the choice to sacrifice our primes to get Umbras in some kind of way. I don't know. I would definitely do it. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye now.